Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel Coins Reaction Zone in episode 7 of One Piece live action. So last episode we finished up Barati arc, which with the backstory of Sanji and Zeph while Zoro was asleep like he was 2 episodes ago, stuck in the well doing his backstory. In that episode we saw of starvation, Sanji of what Zeph did to save him, which was eating his leg, which was they kept it concurrent with the manga. In the anime, Zeph gets stuck underwater by a chain and he uses an anchor with a chain on it to snap off his leg to save Sanji who was drowning, and then that's how he escaped. And then full willpower, didn't starve to death, but in the manga it was him eating his leg, but they censored that in the anime version, so I like that they put that, kept that in. And then Don Krieg kind of went out like a wimp in episode 5, but they had Arlong show up as the main bad guy, which was kind of interesting with Kirby and Chew. So I don't think Hachon the octopus is in this one because it looks like they're going for practical effects on the fishman. So they didn't want to bother doing an 8-arm octopus, which is kind of confusing because whenever he appears later on down the line in Sabiri Archipelago, that's going to be confusing storyline wise. The acts and the actions that Luffy and crew do in that arc are very important for the main storyline as a whole. So if you don't have a main player like that, it's kind of confusing. It doesn't really make much sense, especially since he has a lot of like backstory and stuff that he tells about the island and everybody that lives there. So it just makes more sense that way, unless they bring in another character. So if they ever do that down the line in other seasons, we had some good Luffy Zoro moments of Zoro finally making his creed that he's going to protect Luffy and help him out, and Nami finally feeling more friendly with the crew, but then betraying them so Luffy won't get killed by Arlong of like, hey, dump in the sea, because I guess she knows that one of the other crew members or another person is going to save him, just pick him up, which was Sanji, who I liked this version of Sanji so far. He looks great in a suit and tie. He's pretty fun. The Zeph and Sanji emotional moment at the end was kind of a bit stilted, like it kind of breezed through pretty quick. I used to feel like that in the anime manga, like, full on bounce down of like, there's longer lines, I guess. They just kind of immediately pushed it forward to go immediately to the Along Park arc. I just feel like it was more emotional having it like in person, of like the guy sitting next to him instead of just across on a boat. So I'm interested to see where this goes. And this is episode 7, the girl with the sawfish tattoo. So let's do it, and let's learn about Nami and her backstory as we get into the last 2 episodes of the series.
But you said 5 degrees starboard.
And Buggy's still around, by the way. I didn't mention that. Yeah, and since they completely changed this based off the anime manga, I'm interested to see how the Buggy thing will turn out.
You hurt the people you stole from. And yourself.
Okay, we got backstory with Bellamere and Nojiko and Nami.
We have a roof over our heads and we love each other. That's what makes us a family.
No, we're not a real family.
It was the right thing to do.
Oh, nice. And she's the one that made the windmills. The pinwheels.
I know you'll do the right thing too.
And that showing her marine backstory was a nice touch as well. I like seeing the Zeph and Garp interactions though, because they never had any in the actual main anime manga. And that Zeph won't give up Luffy, which is pretty cool to see too. Garp I think is a little too serious for my taste, but I still think it's fun to see. And then we're back to the Bellamere backstory. So I did never turn on my screen, so there's gonna be a bit cut in beforehand, but all you need to know is that the Straw Hat Pirates showed up. We're back into the Arlong backstory. One of the disappointing things about this one, though, is that they're not showing why Nami is stealing, because the villager is supposed to know that she's the one that's stealing money for the village. It's not even mentioned in this one, which is pretty stupid, because that's the main part of that storyline of that Nami's actually a good person. It's just so dumb. Why Nojika even spit at her, and why Ginzo's not wearing his pinwheel. He did lose it in the original fight, but it getting knocked over and not putting on another one, the pinwheel was what symbolized the relationship. They better do the walk to Arlong Park really well. I'm gonna be so mad. I really wish Yosaku and Johnny were here. They're the ones that bring the nice levity.
How do you know she's not one of Arlong's crew?
Same way I knew you weren't gonna kill me when I cut you down from that cross. Same way I knew about Usopp. And Sanji.
Yeah, I don't know about that waiter.
I know Nami's good. She needs to know it too.
Is this really what we're supposed to be doing?
What are you talking about?
Maybe the Straw Hat Pirates aren't the villains that the Marines are making them out to be.
Thought I was going to take a lot more liquor to bring out your mutinous side.
It just seems like if we keep making the same mistakes, nothing's ever going to change.
All right, out with it. You know something.
Garp is Luffy's grandfather.
All the things I thought you were going to say, that wasn't.
I like that. That's a nice reveal.
Fellow with a straw hat came through here the other day.
You know where he was heading?
Of course, the barman knows things.
I might.
Wild boars of Jaya.
Oh, nice. Mentioning the Jaya again. That's the second time they mentioned Jaya. Because they did Moland Noland beforehand with Nami's story to Zoro.
You're not tricking me with your delicious stories. I'm not hunting a boar.
Last thing I want to do is put myself in the middle of a family dispute. Special. Reminds me of another pirate we knew back in our glory days.
Don't say
Not
it.
saying it's going to make it less true. The kid reminds me of Gold Roger.
Yep, here we go.
And look what happened to him.
The first time that they showed their
Scared by marine
relation.
bullhorns.
You have to know when it's time to let them go. Change is coming whether you want it or not. It's their turn now.
I love their interactions. It's pretty well done.
We'll see about that.
Especially since this never happens. Freaking Buggy's still here. That's awesome.
I told Arlong I'd work for him on one condition. That he let me buy back Cocoa Village. And he said he would. For 100 million berry.
100 million. That would take a lifetime.
I have the money. All of it. And now I can buy the freedom of the village and everyone in it.
Okay, so I guess they're going for more of a dramatic reveal instead of everybody else already knowing.
Why didn't
I
you
like
tell
the
me?
everybody else already knowing thing. I think it makes it more emotional since they've also been protecting Nami the whole time.
I couldn't lose you too.
I kept that secret all these years. And you let me hate you.
I've heard that pirates are stashing their plunder in this area. You two wouldn't know anything about that, would you? That's obviously been stolen, and the world government are going to have to confiscate it.
No, you can't do that. It's mine.
100 million berry. Where would you get that much money?
How did you know it was 100? Arlong put you up to this, didn't he? You can't do this! You can't do
Alright, here we go. Freaking sadness. Saddest money shove.
We all know the truth of this world. Fishmen are the rightful rulers of the seas. And the humans know it too. They fear our power, so they bound us with chains. They loathe our presence, so they banned us from their cities with chains. Built our own cities. Now the time has come to restore the natural order of this world.
So they're gonna do a lot of stuff in the last episode with all the fights. I hope they don't disappoint.
Humans have used us, kept us down. And so-called leaders, they allowed it. They so lovingly wave are in truth flags of surrender, willing defeat. Don't know about you, but I ain't surrendering.
Here we go.
Arlong! Arlong! Arlong!
Mm.
I told you to get the hell out of here.
You did.
Then leave. You don't know anything about what's going on here.
I don't.
Luffy.
Yeah, they did it the same way. I love it so much. One of my favorite scenes.
Of course I will.
Nice. Lending her his treasure.
Of course I will!
Alright, here we go. Time to walk to Arlong Park.
Let's go. Right. What's that? They're attacking the village.
Oh, so they're not going to take it place in that one location in Arlong Park. They're going to go into the whole village. Okay, I'm interested to see how this will go. Nice. Let's do it. Alright, so that was the end of episode 7 of One Piece. So, I did miss some parts because I'd never turned on my screen, but I did react to them like I did say words, so I might just have them in as like vocal lines or something like that. Just edit them down. In this episode, we got Nami's backstory with Bellamere of how she was a previous Marine and that she saved them from a destroyed village and brought them to Cocoyashi Island where she lived with them. One of the disappointing things about this arc, though, is that they completely changed the live action for a more dramatic reveal. In the anime manga, the villagers know, and so they're basically playing along so Nami won't get caught. And it's a lot more emotional that way, like Genzo wearing his windmill to show that he still loves Nami and that the villagers know is kind of like what that means. But he immediately lost it in the Arlong fight and then never wore one again. It's just a bit disappointing having it that way, like Nojika hating her sister so much when Luffy and the crew shows up, she's gonna be like, oh no, Nami's, basically mentioned some stuff. And it just makes more sense that way in the anime manga. So that's a bit disappointing. Like Garp and Zeph interacting together was definitely the highlight of this episode. Was really fun because they don't talk to each other at all in the main series, but it's two old guys talking about the past, which was really awesome. And Zeph protecting Luffy and basically doing the reveals, and the Helmeppo Kobe interactions was really fun too. So was a bit disappointed when they kind of left those characters in, just because it kind of doesn't really make sense for future storylines, but it's still pretty fun to see them having more interactions with characters we've previously seen, especially Buggy sticking around because I love Buggy and he definitely has good comedic moments. Kind of has that levity in it. Stays very serious, but it's still pretty fun. And they're very much trying to lessen the cringe of the series because the anime manga, even if you are a big fan, it's still pretty cringy at times. And that last part was definitely trying to lessen that blow, but it was still a bit, at least slightly for me, repeating the same line 3 times. Instead of saying it once for just complete dramatic effect, it's like, yeah, I will. And then just ending it right there. Repeating the 3rd time was kind of a bit So for me, pretty fun. It's definitely a basic episode of like trying to get things going for the rest of the series. So I think I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10 because they were just explaining some stuff. Some positive moments, like I said, was Zeph and Garp and then Kobe and Helmeppo. And then some few moments in between as well with that. But completely butchering Nami's arc, I believe, because the main point is that the villager is supposed to know. And that's supposed to be one of the big emotional reveals for her. Nezumi, I feel like they did really well. He's definitely a hateable guy. And like his mouse features are pretty well done. Like it looks like there's actually like dots in his face where the whiskers are coming out, which I like. That's going to do it for me for episode 7. Next is going to be episode 8. I'm really excited to see how the finale is going to be. So without further ado, let's go. Thank you everyone for watching and have a great day.